and welcome to The Hard Way on WrestlingRingPost.com. I'm Steve.
Nick.
I don't know what's wrong with him. We're bringing you a special episode due to my negligence with episode 2 that looks like someone smeared poo on the camera lens. Looks really bad. I apologize for that, but there's no way. Mick talked about us recreating the video. We can't recreate these videos. No way. No. There's no takes. We're always live. We're doing it live. I mean, live to tape, I assume, I guess is what I should say.
Live to us.
Just because we had an episode just a couple days ago, we're not going to do our normal top 5. We're just going to do our top 5 wrestlers of all time, because we've never talked about that yet. We'll also talk about just a few things that are in the news. There's not too much going on in the last couple days. So let's just go ahead and get on to it. Now, first one would be that Vince Russo is no longer the head creative writer for Impact. I almost said SmackDown, which is funny because they're like the same show. But he's still like the head writer, but he's not the head creative writer. It's not Bruce Pritchard, who's been there for about a year now.
So is it technically a downgrade or an upgrade?
I'd say it's it depends on if you're thinking of your Impact or if you're Vince Russo. I would say it's an upgrade for Impact, maybe, but I think that they're still going to have some input, but they're going to let him write the story, they're going to tell him what to write, is what it seems like. Which is good. He's wrote wrestling for years. He knows how to write, the actual writing. But
for those who don't know,
a wrestling fan.
Well, for those who don't know, he was brother-in-law in WWE.
Yeah, Bruce Pritchard, yeah. But, I mean, Russo's been around for a while.
Vic Venom.
Yeah, but, I mean, he can write the stuff, but Pritchard, I guess, will be the one that comes up with most of the actual creative ideas. I guess they're tired of Russo's stupidness.
Maybe he's an interpreter, because Russo's hard to understand with that accent that he has.
Maybe, but I don't know. I don't know if Brother Law would be the greatest guy to interpret either. So, on top of that, Bischoff re-signed with Hogan's.
We got excited at first because we thought it said re-signed.
Resigned, yeah.
And no, it was just re-signed.
Yeah, so who knows? Maybe that was in Bischoff's contract. If Vince Russo can no longer be the writer, they didn't have the greatest of time together. And the end of the end of WCW.
Well, they did feud with each other, and not just in real life, but on camera.
Yeah. So yeah, it's true. So we'll find out. It's not probably going to matter really, anyways, in the long run.
The Billionaire Club.
So. Other than that, hasn't really been too much in the news. The newest was Lucha Libre USA. We just got done watching the first episode. It was really bad. At least I thought so. What do you think?
Spoiler alert, Supernova is Petey Williams.
Yeah, I'm sure people
if you couldn't tell.
Yeah, especially when he did his finishing move. The Canadian Destroyer, the Supernova Destroyer.
I thought it was the South of the Border Destroyer.
Yeah, there we go. Mexican Destroyer.
Montezuma's
So,
revenge.
I mean, it was really bad. Seriously, the wrestling was terrible. Like, they were really slow. And then, Mini Park fought his ex-wife.
For some kind of back
payments
for
yeah, I think. Yeah.
his kids.
Yeah, he's paying child support for kids that he's not even the father to. That was really stupid. It's on MTV2, the show. You can watch it on their website. I mean, Mark Jindrak's there with his super skinny legs. As Marco Corleone is what they say. I want to say Corleone. I don't know. I guess it's Mexican.
We also found out
interpreting Italian words.
We also found out that Paul London is there.
Yeah. That was kind of a random surprise. He is Sadistico, spelled really strangely. You said it might have been him. We're like, he kind of looks like Paul London. And they did a shooting star press, and it was like, all right, that's Paul London. We know it's Paul London, so that's fine. And he was phoning it in, though, a little bit, because he was just, barely caring. He's just like, yeah, whatever. This is a paycheck. Helped, was it Liz Martin Jr.? Is that the guy that...
I think so.
Is that the guy that won the title, the stupid Fatal 4-Way, which made no sense? It wasn't even a Fatal 4-Way. It was 2 guys in the ring at all times, even though other guys randomly ran in. And there was 4,000 interferences, too. It was like watching an Impact event. And there was this elimination match, and Liz Mark won, and who cares, whatever. The title looks like it was made with macaroni.
Oh, but in the news, Charlie Malice, who is in AAA, was in AAA, and now
he's in Lucha Libre USA.
Lucha Libre USA is looking to maybe see a lot of jail time.
Yeah, I forget exactly what that story was. Something about him assaulting somebody or something, and it's like up to like 15 years in jail. So I assume that these Lucha Libre USA episodes were taped in the summer, so it happened between there because at least part of it. We don't know. I don't know how many. He did lose in that final four match. He was in that fatal four-way match, so he did lose because of P. Williams' interference, and who knows how long he's going to be in that. And I don't really care. I mean, it's stupid. It's his fault for doing something stupid and getting in trouble.
At least he didn't get drunk and walk into a lake.
So, we don't know. Like I said, there's not too much more news we can really talk about because
SmackDown's god awful.
Yeah,
Impact is god awful.
Yeah, that's the only shows that have been. Well, we missed part of Impact filming the last episode.
Oh, we didn't miss it. We didn't see it, but we didn't miss it.
So let's just get down. We'll do our top 5 wrestlers of all time. So, what's your number 5, man?
My number 5 is probably who you thought would have been my number 1, and that's Shawn Michaels.
All right. My number 5, Scott Steiner.
I would have thought that would have been your number 1.
I guess we
went backwards.
So why is I always thought that HBK was your favorite wrestler of all time. So why is he number 5?
He's my favorite American wrestler.
Okay.
Well, the reason he's on the list, not only because he's my favorite American wrestler, but the fact that he was always really good in the ring, always really good on the mic, really good at putting people over, just an all-around great athlete. One of my favorite matches of his would have to be the SummerSlam match with Hogan, where he was angry because he never gave Triple H the rematch, so he oversold everything.
And then the Larry, whatever they called the Larry King skit before that, is him dressed as Hogan, was really good. I think it's understandable that he's in your top 5. He's not in mine, but Steiner's my number 5 because he's a decent wrestler, but he's a character, and he's like the greatest character. He is the most crazy, amped-up guy ever in wrestling, including in the newest that Road Dogg videos that I was talking about, the reality show. He apparently will never go under 100 miles per hour. So, and Tatanka was in the video and was saying that he's been in the car where all the lanes in the highway were completely covered, and he will go in the shoulder in the dirt just to keep it 100 miles per hour. I assume that his cruise control is broke and it just always stays at 100. He's a crazy guy, and he's entertaining. He's just funny. That's why. He's a good wrestler. I like the Steiner screwdriver, the suplex into a tombstone pile driver, and it wasn't like a seamless. It was just like, I'm just gonna turn you and drop you. He hasn't done that in years, really, and he still pulls out a Frankensteiner every now and then on Impact.
I think a lot of his best matches are the Japanese stuff that he did with Rick.
The Steiner brothers.
I think pre-NWO, Scott Steiner would definitely make a list like that. He was, really technical, really good, and then he got just way too jacked up and
crazy. He was drinking his own Kool-Aid.
Yeah,
I think it's safe to say. So, all right. Well, then what's your number 4?
Jushin Thunder Liger.
All right. Vader is mine.
Wow, I thought he would have been your number 1.
No. But I remember Vader. Especially when I was a kid. Because, when we were kids, it's not like you could get Japanese matches that
eye socket knocked out in a match and just popped the eye back in.
Yeah, it's kind of like hanging there. But, it wasn't like out. He pulled it back in so it would keep under his eyelid. When we were kids, it was hard to get Japanese matches, None of us really knew tape trading or anything. We were too young for that in a lot of ways, too. So, I remember, WCW, Saturday night, WCW, the main event, I think that's what the Sunday night one was called.
Main event.
And I remember, him and Cactus Jack. And
broken nose?
Yeah, all that stuff. I remember him breaking that guy's back.
Oh.
I remember the big Mastodon helmet thing that shot the smoke.
That was
come
awesome.
On. That thing is. Those things alone, not including watching other stuff that he did in Japan, especially. He was terrible in WWE, but I don't know if that was all his fault.
What about his matches on Boy Meets World?
That's right. He was the father of Ethan Suplee in Boy Meets World.
They coached him in a match against Jake the Snake.
That's right, they did.
Which Coincidentally, if he won that match, he got a shot at Madison Square Garden again for the title against Shawn Michaels.
Right, because remember I remember that because they showed the stock footage. They filmed. It was like they just filmed that. They just took the footage from WWF. That's so weird.
Which Bruce Pritchard's in that episode too, because he is the ring announcer.
We're just gonna tie everything together. Somehow Charlie Malice is gonna be in the crowd or something.
6 degrees of separation.
So what was your number 4 again? A bad memory. Liger. Okay, well, let's.
Liger, for anyone that's only familiar with this American stuff, he's held a lot of titles in Japan. He's a high flyer, one of the first really big name high flyers. Beat Pillman, wasn't it, for the...
I don't know if he beat Pillman. I remember him and Pillman fought on the first Nitro.
No, he had the belt, because remember,
Did he?
The whole thing was they wanted him to lose the belt. That was the whole thing. They
I don't remember.
New Japan.
Oh, that's not surprising. They did receive New Japan at that time when the Nitro was first starting, had an agreement. They had a pay-per-view together, New Japan WCW, and it was like every match was like a WCW versus a New Japan guy, and it was like what league was better. And
that's easy.
Like, well, at the time, the WCW was pretty decent. This is pre-NWO, so this is back when they actually, I think, still had Austin.
Wow.
And like Pillman, I think, wrestled on it. Austin, I think, might have wrestled on Sting. And this is like, pre-NWO, so it's like blonde hair at Sting. I think Flair might have fought it. I mean, like, the Steiners wrestled in a tag match against, and they were for WCW at the time. And I know, like, Yuji Nagata, I think Liger, Chono might have been on the New Japan side. That would actually be kind of a cool pay-per-view to go. Well, like, WWE is never going to re-release that. That would be cool to go back and maybe watch. Maybe we'll do a review on something like that.
Yeah, I'm
That'd
sure
really cool.
Somebody has it on YouTube. If
Yeah.
anybody out there wants to
really
watch
cool.
it, or if anyone out there has a copy of it on tape somewhere and wants to send it to us.
Yeah, any video that anyone wants to send to us, contact me, Steve, at wrestlingringpost@gmail.com. We'll take a look at any video. I'll send you my address from there. I don't want to put the address up on the website, but definitely, if you send me an email in there, we'll take your guys' requests. We'll review any kind of wrestling related video. So onwards to number 3.
Number 3. Ooh, yeah, Macho Man.
All right. Mine's Liger. So
well, we've already talked about Liger.
The thing I can add is when I was a kid. Every wrestler pretty much at the time period when I was a kid didn't wear masks outside of like Vader, really. Liger was the first guy I can remember as a kid watching that had a mask. That was a character. It was like a cartoon character, like someone that wasn't like human.
Well, for anyone that hasn't ever seen Liger, not only does he wear a mask, he wears a whole full body outfit.
Yeah, and has and then when he comes to the ring, he has
the
shoulder
pads
pads and
very
he's more different versions of it. I mean, he's based off an anime character. The anime came first, and then they adapted that. Same way they did Tiger Mask. And it was something completely different. And as a kid, you're like, whoa, what is this? What the heck is going on? Because you're used to these like big guys and they have gimmicks, but they're not. They're human. Liger wasn't human.
And his theme song's actually the theme song from the
anime. Yeah, it still is. It still is. To think how long it's way outlasted the anime. That's for sure. So Macho Man.
Oh yeah. Obviously Macho Man, another one of those guys. Great technical wrestler back in the day. Was involved in, if I had to list top matches of all time, number 1 is probably him and Ricky Steamboat from WrestleMania. Had a lot of great feuds, a lot of good storylines. If I were to take young wrestlers and show them how to cut a promo, I would definitely show them Macho Man stuff. He was king of promo.
Makes sense to me. I mean, I agree. Yeah, I there wasn't too much to add. It makes sense.
Snap into it.
So, into that, we'll go to our number 2 number. Top of all time. I mean, this is always changing, though, technically. Because 10 years from now, our taste change, plus who knows what could happen in 10 years in the world of wrestling. So,
my number 2 is Hayabusa.
Okay, my number 2 is Bret Hart.
Wow.
So, yeah. I mean, that's from when I was a kid. I mean, when you're a kid, Hogan was a little before my time, especially early Hogan. Like, when he won the title in '84, I was a year old. Not even that. I think it was early '84. So I wasn't even a year old. So my Hogan stuff is like late '80s, almost past the huge Hogan hysteria. So to me, I remember Bret Hart. I remember like in middle school and stuff, and that's all we talked about. We would make like we would pretend we were the wrestlers and wrestle in like my bedroom, and we always would fight over who was Bret Hart.
That's what
him having the eagle belt and him having the shoulder pad, like that the jacket he basically ripped off of Sting, and just like the way
a lot of stuff that he ripped off of Sting.
Yeah, he did quite a lot. But so you're number 2.
Hayabusa, probably
you might want to describe that to some people.
A lot of people probably aren't familiar with him. Most probably best known for his time in FMW, which was Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling. It's what Heyman got the idea for ECW. Really high-flying guy, invented a lot of the high-flying moves that you see now. The Phoenix Splash,
right,
being one of them, Falcon Arrow. A lot of moves that are in the games that you don't really get to see people do in the States came from him. But interesting because you have the guys that paint their face and you have the guys that wear a mask, and Hayabusa was a guy that painted his face and wore a mask.
Yeah, he had like the face stuff and then the mask around it.
But I mean, he's been parried by Sabu.
Right.
Sabu was a big fan.
Well, you can tell that Sabu, like the pants, are big, like almost like pajama, like real wide, free-flowing pants.
Well, his outfit from the waist down.
Yeah.
And then all the scars, because Hayabusa has the scars too.
Well, they were both in similar leagues. I mean, you think about like where they both
Actually, Sabu started in FMW. So.
It's true. I mean, sadly, if you don't know, I mean, Hayabusa, his career came to a tragic end when he was going for a lion salt and slipped in the ropes and broke his neck and paralyzed him for a while. And he kind of can walk now, not great. He kind of uses crutches and stuff. I know he goes on tour and plays piano a lot. Does some different, even some kind of wrestling stuff. Doesn't wrestle, but
the last in-ring stuff he did was the stuff with what was that joke league in Japan?
DDT?
No, the other
Hustle.
One. Hustle. He did some stuff for Hustle.
Yeah, I mean he's so popular. I mean, apparently his shows in Japan when he does he plays piano. Apparently his shows actually have like thousands of people go to it. So they're not small shows. I mean,
and he was also in one of the worst wrestling movies of all time.
Backyard Dogs. It has the Black Power Ranger in it. You remember? It has the original Zack, him. I think it has is Sasuke one of the guys too? There's a great Sasuke. There's a bunch of weird like Mr. Pogo.
Yeah. I think most of the guys from FMW at that time.
Yeah, and I think there was one or two American guys in that. And it was supposed to be like a backyard league that was becoming like a big league. It was the worst production of all I've seen.
I think Hayabusa at the time that he was in that was the character H that he was going by.
He might have been. I can't remember.
His version of Hayabusa.
Yeah, he also didn't wear a mask for a while too.
That was
around that same time. And man, that's a terrible man. That's a terrible movie. Wow, I forgot about that.
Well, it was good to see him at Masawa's funeral, even though he was in a wheelchair. It was still kind of good to see him out in public because it wasn't something that we'd seen.
Yeah, right. So I mean,
number one.
Yeah, I think we should go to that now.
Number one, the Great Muta.
Okay, well, mine's The Rock. I mean, I think that's...
Wow.
So I mean, to me, when I think of my top five, I gotta think of the guys that impacted me, not only as like right now in wrestling ability, but in what made me want to watch wrestling, or what kept me in watching wrestling. You know, I mean, The Rock. I cut my hair like The Rock for like 3-4 years. You know, and he was really popular. Really short hair with a little more on the top, like a small pompadour. As always, I mean, in high school, that's all I wanted to be was The Rock, and I mean, so it was great. And I mean, now I don't care about him as much, but I rewatched the Most Electrifying Man DVD recently, most of it, and I think I realize now that I still like The Rock. I mean, there's a lot of other guys. There's probably 15 other guys that could maybe make this list, but The Rock still somehow comes up there, and I think it's because when I look back at it, and I can't, we're not going just on wrestling ability, because that'd be a completely different list. Steiner or Vader, in a lot of ways, really aren't going to be on that list, but. You know, if we're going overall as our top 5 wrestlers of all time, for you personally, I mean, that's have to go to. I mean, Muta, Muta
for me was my first taste of Japanese wrestling, and I was hooked from right there. I remember I used to come home from school when I was in middle school, I think, and World Class Championship Wrestling would be on ESPN. And they had a character there, the Great Kabuki, and the characters in the storyline had a son that was the Great Muta, because he's Keiji Muto in Japan. The Vader, I didn't know if you knew this, but the Great Muta gimmick actually was an American invention.
Yeah,
Gary Hart.
That's it. That's his name. Yeah.
Gave it to him for the Texas promotions.
Mm-hmm.
And he took it to Japan, which it's evolved over the years. He's got a bunch of different looks, a bunch of
versions in a lot of ways.
Maybe the one wrestler with the most theme songs of all time.
He has a lot. Yeah, because between here and in Japan. I mean,
if you want to see...
He's had here.
If you want to get an idea of what Japanese wrestling is, if you go on YouTube and you type in Birth of Muta, they actually made a little mini movie.
That's for a DVD.
Yeah.
It's a Muta DVD.
It's great. It's kind of Power Rangers meets wrestling.
Yeah, they do that. They have one for Liger, too, where he's like part beast.
Oh, that movie is horrible. I saw that. It's really bad. But anyway, Muta, if you're going to be familiar with him as an American fan, it's probably his matches in WCW with Sting.
Right. He was in WCW in 2000 with Vampiro.
Well, he was part of the NWO too.
You're right, NWO Japan, and they invaded a lot of times in the U.S. Like him and Chono and Scott Norton.
Which, for those that don't know, the NWO actually kept going in Japan for years after.
Well, it went a little longer in Japan, and then it became Team 2000. Chono had it changed their names after the NWO folded, I guess, because the NWO was not around, and it went in. I think in a lot of ways went past WCW being around, as weird as that is.
But Muta also might be one of the most copied wrestlers of all time. Because, WWE had Hakushi, who's now his tag team partner in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, kind of is a ripoff, but
they had Tajiri.
Tajiri was a lot of his stuff.
Way before that, the Mongolian Kublai Khan.
Yeah, and
was kind of a ripoff.
If you look at Yoshi Tatsuno, I watched a match recently from it was June, I think. It was him and Tyson Kidd, and he had the mask. He took the mask off. I mean, it is variant of it, but like he had like half his face was face paint like a Kabuki guy, and half of it wasn't. It looked kind of cool, but I mean, it's kind of a Muta thing, but at the same time it was different, but it was definitely like, if it wasn't for Muta, none of that would exist. It wouldn't have been the way it was anyways. I mean, I think he kind of pushed Japanese wrestlers being here in general in terms of being popular.
Also, the Poison Mist, you know, a lot of us are familiar with that. It's been used a lot.
Right.
The Green Mist. Muta does variations. He'll come out and he might spit the green mist in the air, but then the match he might spit a red mist or a yellow mist. Like, he actually does change it up, which is a pretty cool idea. Just very inventive guy. He's a couple different characters in Japan.
Ran New Japan for a while. I don't know if he still does right now, but
no,
he ran
he
for a while.
doesn't own it anymore. I don't know if he runs it, but he doesn't own it anymore.
Yeah, he actually, he's the only guy that I know of that was both the All Japan and the New Japan champion at the same time. That's impressive.
There's actually
that's like it'd be like if someone had both the WWE and the WCW, not really TNA. They don't count.
He held 12 titles at one time, and there's a couple cool pictures you can find. One is him in the ring, and they have all the belts lined up. And then there's another one where it's like a photo shoot, and he's sitting on the floor with surrounded by all the belts.
I mean, well liked usually from what I've heard. In now even. I mean, it makes sense. Like I said, he was one of the top 20 if I had to make a top 20.
Also, if you're doing searches, the Muta scale is something that Muta came up with. He
didn't come up with it. He invented it.
Yeah.
He invented the scale. Someone came up with the idea of calling it the Muta scale. I mean, like, it's the blood scale.
Well, yeah, when he would cut himself, he would go really deep, and then he'd squeeze his head, and blood would just squirt out.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
So there's like 5 different scales, and I'll see if I can find a good like video on it or picture or something, or like a scale. And I'll put it in the show notes. There'll be some stuff in the show notes. Not too much this week. This episode, because we're going to do one probably next Thursday, and it'll be up next Sunday.
But also to give people an idea of how good Muta is, he probably was the guy in the best Hogan match that I've ever seen. He made Hogan look so good.
Well, not Hogan.
Match.
Hogan did a lot of work in that too, though.
Yeah.
I thought Hogan was going to do a planche on that.
Yeah.
Buddha fell to the outside, and Hogan looked like he's about to run.
He did do an enziguri, which
he did
surprised
do
me.
that. I know.
If you're only familiar with Hogan's American stuff, his Japanese, he's different style. He actually
ridiculous.
can wrestle. It's crazy.
Well, I think that's it. I was trying to keep this video short. It's probably kind of longer than it probably I would think. So check out WrestlingRingPost.com. We'll have more information up during the week. Take care, guys. See ya.
Thanks.